Sorry about that, guys. All right. Remove Trump and put Harris in place. You don't think it can happen? Let's get into it. The fact is that Harris could be the president in 2026 if we just had a little bit of Democratic spine. That's right. If Democrats had a spine, we could have Harris in office and the tangerine twat waffle out of office. How's it going to happen? I'll explain. Right now, as it stands, Mike Johnson is third in line. If the House is overtaken by the Democrats can pick a new House Speaker. And the person to pick, Harris. That's right, because despite the fact that Congress has never actually appointed someone as House Speaker that wasn't actually a congressional member at the time, there's nothing in the Constitution that stops Harris from being appointed House Speaker. Now, with Harris appointed as House Speaker, you then could turn around and impeach the tangerine twat waffle and the couch hugger. And by doing so, Harris would become president of the United States, who then would in turn pick a vice president who could possibly be someone that we know or someone new. And then we can appoint a new House Speaker, somebody that could actually handle that job the way that it needs to be, but we could in turn get rid of Trump out of the Oval Office. The truth of the matter is that Trump in office is not helpful to anybody. Trump has violated so many constitutional laws that the court cases that he will wind up being involved in once he's impeached out of office will be greater and longer than his term as president. He'll be in prison longer than he was president. There's no question about it. What do you guys think? Now, I will tell you flat out, to me, it seems obvious that a change is necessary, that we need to find a way to get rid of this, tyrant out of the position that he's in. But who will do it? Could it possibly be Harris? Could it be that they'll impeach and bring JD Vance in? But one way or the other, he's as complicit in all of it as Trump is, because while Trump is doing all of this stuff, Vance is on the back end doing deals himself that we don't quite know and figure out. But what we do know is that he's profiting off of the tariffs because JD Vance, despite what most people might realize, JD Vance has actually been working with a group that's actually buying up bankrupt farms. That's right. So when the farms are going bankrupt because the soybeans aren't being sold and the commodities aren't being traded and the farmers aren't actually got the labor and the crews to do the work that needs to be done on those farms are, falling short. They're going tits up, as it was. And when they do, they have to get bailed out. And that bailout isn't coming from Trump, but there is a mortgage firm that's going around buying up bankrupt farms and trading those on commodity. And Vance is profiting off of that. So as I said before, there is no question, but JD Vance and Trump need to be removed. And if we were to appoint Harris as Speaker and then impeach them both, Harris would be president. She could be president in 2026. Now, I know a lot of people are going to come back at me and go, there's no way you could have Harris as president. Yes, you technically can, because the Constitution does not bar the House Speaker from being outside of the Congress. The technical term is that she could actually still be appointed even though she's not a member of Congress at the time. There's no law against it. It would just take an act of moving forward. The Democrats would actually have to form together to make something happen instead of constantly falling short and caving in on these tantrum actions of Trump. Anyone is better than Chomo POTUS. I don't disagree with you. Anything would be better right now. So, I know that, I know Harris, she's a giggling little, minx that likes to, laugh and everyone wants to make fun of her for being a giggling queen. But I would take a giggling queen over a diddling parasite any day of the week. And the fact of the matter is that how many allegations of misconduct does he have to have stack on top of himself before people actually start to notice? Exactly how many allegations of misdoings or assault or all of the heinous things that he's been accused of or convictions, because he's still been convicted of 34 felonies. He's still making outlandish statements. He's made proclamations of trying to take over Greenland, or confusing Greenland and Iceland, or the fact that he invaded Venezuela, took the president without jurisdiction, took two people from Scotland. So when you say that anybody's better than Sergeant Kankles, you're absolutely right. I mean, the fact that this man took Kennedy's name and put it second to his own at the Kennedy Center is stolen valor, because Kennedy served his country in the military, despite the fact that he had physical issues that barred him from. But Joe Kennedy actually got him into the military because his idea of serving was more important than his own physical well-being. He is the only president who's ever won a Purple Heart in the line of duty for saving his fellow people. This is John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy went to serve in the Senate, and then was the very first Catholic president that we've ever had, and was assassinated by somebody. And you think that you have a right to be your name next to him? Oh, thank you, Richard. I really appreciate it. Your constant and your constant, feedback is always appreciative. Luigi was a Republican. I don't know. I will tell you that let's just get into it. I don't want to sidetrack. The reality of it is that Harris getting to be president in 2026 is an actual thing that could possibly happen. How can one man get away with this? Do you know why? Because when Trump went to and was campaigning, he preached about getting the files. We're going to release the files. We're going to release the files. And so they released the files. And then when they released the files, or I'm sorry, when he got into office, he saw the files. And when he saw those files, he realized how complicit he was and how much dirt he had on him. And I'm sorry to say, but now that Trump has the files, he is the reason why he is still in office. He is the reason, because he has the files and because everybody that's in the files is afraid of being outed. That's exactly why he's still in office. Because here's the deal. The King of England, because of these files, because of the allegations, because of the things that, what's his name, Andrew did, he kicked him out. He took his birthright away from him. He alienated him and took everything away from him because of the Epstein files. And the only person that knows what's in the Epstein files more than Maxwell is Trump, because Trump got to see him at the DOJ. My personal opinion, Maxwell got to see them when Epstein was arrested back in 2007. Because in case you weren't aware, when Epstein was taken into custody in 2007, his house wasn't accessed right away. In fact, they had to get a warrant to be able to search his house. And when they did, they found computers missing, hard drives, all types of things just gone. So who has it? Could it be the very person that seems to have been able to leverage that information to get moved from a maximum security prison into a camp fed for puppies situation in Texas? Here's another revolutionary idea. Who's to say Epstein was really the one in charge of everything? Hypothetically speaking, let's just think for a second. Who had access to casinos? Who had access to hotels? Who had access to modeling agencies? Who had access to beauty pageants? Who had access to modeling agencies, which I might have already said? Teen USA, Miss America. All of those beauty pageants, someone owned. Someone also owned modeling agencies for adults and minor children. All of these were owned by one individual. This individual knew Maxine and worked with Maxine years before Epstein was ever involved. Epstein was a money guy. If Epstein was the master trafficker of everything, where did he find the girls? Where did he get the girls? Where could he have possibly found the treasure trove of constant girls coming in? Now, of course, Russia, Ukraine, the whole bit. But in the United States, where were these girls coming from? The same person that, has those hotels, has all of that? Could it be the same person that was able to move Ghislaine Maxwell from a maximum security prison over to a minimum security camp fed. Now, just in case you all realize, the facility in Texas is a federal facility, but it's for only white collar crimes. Felony charges like trafficking and all of the stuff that Ghislaine Maxwell is, there is no protocol for that type of offense to be at that prison, but yet someone made a special allowance to that. Now, here's a hypothetical that goes even deeper. Was Ghislaine Maxwell working for that mystery person, or was she working for Epstein? Was Epstein the beard, the money, the financier, the face of it all? And was he hiding somebody else that was actually in control of everything? Because here's the deal. Trump has gone bankrupt 6 times. He has bankrupt casinos. He has leveraged himself to no end. So the question remains, how has he stayed with all of this money for so long if there wasn't something he was doing off the books, right? So we got that right there. We have Ghislaine Maxwell being moved from a maximum security prison where she was supposed to stay to a prison that she wasn't allowed to be involved in at all because her crimes excluded her from a transfer to that place. But yet, not only did she go there, but now she's got a puppy. And she's gotten a phone call and a sit down with the President of the United States personal attorney that used to work for him and defended him when he got those 34 felonies. Why he would wind up promoting that guy to be the deputy director of the DOJ makes no sense, but I guess, he can control him. Is it a conspiracy theory? Yes. Could it possibly be true? Yes. Can you see a fault in my reasoning? And I'm sorry, there was no assassinated chimp on Trump because those pictures showed that his ear was cut or hit or whatever like that. But yet the picture in the New York Times when he's up like this and you can see his neck gina flailing, his ear is unblemished, no scars whatsoever. From the UK, Trump has lost any respect we have in the USA. You're absolutely right. And the truth of the matter is this. He has got more to benefit from the files staying hidden than released. Because you got to realize something. You guys are all saying that he's hiding the Epstein files because he's in the Epstein files. No shit. He's a co-author of those files. Do you know that Epstein is in the files more than Jesus was in the Bible? The book is about the New Testament is about Jesus. I mean, he's the main character, and he's referenced less times than Trump is in the Epstein files. And Epstein is supposed to be the main character. That makes no sense whatsoever. But what we do know is that the means and ability to supply these girls came from somewhere. Someone who had hotels, someone who did have casinos, someone who did have modeling agencies, who had pageants. And here's a really weird, if you really want to go into conspiracy nut central, how about this? John Benet Ramsey, who disappeared in the 90s or late 80s, early 90s, she was a pageant girl. She went to all the beauty pageants and her mother was deep in trying to get pageants. Now, when her dad was questioned, and he went under a lie detector, he was ruled innocent, but evasive. Like he was hiding something, but it wasn't that he unalived his daughter. And here's the thing. While the unredacted files are hidden and locked under under key, he has control of all these people. Because what would you do if your name was in those files and you were desperate to keep them? Now think about if you had a few $1 billion. Trump is using those files as a means to control everybody. Because answer yourself this question. How is it that Trump is able to get away with all of the things that he's got? Because his autobiography should be, I wasn't supposed to be able to do that, but I did. Because he honestly, every single time, I'm like, he's not allowed to do that, but he does it. He couldn't do this, but he does it. He put his name on the Kennedy Center because he somehow thought that he was justified in putting his name on the Kennedy Center. And even though the Kennedy Center was named after John F. Kennedy, who got a Purple Heart for serving his country in military, who actually died for this country, Congress put that name on there. Congress is the one that funds it, but yet somehow he got a board to put the name on it. And we all know it's a constitutional violation and it's broken the law, but it still hasn't been changed. And he's still sitting there indignant thinking it's acceptable. The reality of it is this. I don't know why Bad Bunny would be hated upon on the Super Bowl, but the still remains is that he is canceled. He has taken and put and stolen valor by putting his name on a building that was a memorial to someone who lost their life for this country. Period. End of sentence. I don't know what I don't know what this person is trying to say. She's like, you keep saying disliked, canceled. If you dislike or cancel me, that's called um I don't know why, but whatever. Um, Trump is the king peace warrior. No, I'm sorry, no. Anyway, so the fact of the matter is that Trump isn't president despite the Epstein files being in existence. Trump is president because of the Epstein files. He has stayed president because of it. And if you sit there and look at it and go, I can't believe he got away with that. Wow, he did this, he did that. Why is Congress so shut up right now? Why is it that it doesn't seem to be, with all of this outlaw and everyone's upset about what he's doing, that they're not removing him? Could it be because he's got the receipts on things that nobody wants to have aired out? The Prime Minister of England is being said that they're going to step down. What will MAGA do when Trump is impeached? I don't know. Why didn't Biden release the files? This is a great question. Well, think about this. The things in the Epstein files are bad for the Democrats and the Republicans. And if you think that you got me here and I'm a Democrat, just like touting Democrats are amazing, guess what? They're not. Because you know what? If Democrats were all amazing, then why aren't they out in the streets in negative 20-degree weather with the people of Minnesota fighting for our rights? Why is it they're sitting in Capitol Hill doing absolutely nothing? Because right now, to get rid of him, we need 218 votes to impeach, another 67 at Senate. That means that the Republicans, 4 of them need to step up on the House side, and on the Senate side, 23 of them. So 23 people can't step up and say, you know what, diddling children is not acceptable. You're off the island. Why is it? And this is something that I was talking to my son today about. In prison, the golden absolute rule is that you never mess with children. Children are never to be touched in any way, shape, or form. That's a fact, right? Prison justice is all about you mess with kids, you're cooked, right? Why is it that they in prison have more of a moral code towards protecting children than the people in Congress? Because Congress have had nothing but thoughts and prayers for all of these children that lost their lives in school shootings because they want to protect the Second Amendment and because the lobbyists pay them too good. And then all of a sudden, the dictator says, guns aren't good, we should take those away because there should be reform. And all of a sudden, the Republicans are like, yeah, maybe we should reform on guns. But aren't Republicans the ones that are big on guns? And they're the ones that are big on, don't tread on my Second Amendment. Didn't Charlie Kirk lose his life debating the fact that, you know what, guns, aren't that bad? I mean, because he did say on a few different occasions, like, you know what, I don't care if people lose their life each year from gun violence. You can't take away my Second Amendment right. That was the debate he lost the hard way, no question about it. And fun fact, it appears that Charlie Kirk's wife found out that he took her out of the will a few weeks before he was unalive. So that's funny, too. Blah, 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 blah. I can do it, too. Milk toast. Yeah, Milk Toast said it best. Spineless, just following blindly. You're absolutely right. But again, the reason why they weren't released during Biden's tour is because the damage was going to be bad on both aisles, and nobody wanted to open that door. No one wanted to open Pandora's box. But Trump, not realizing how deep in the files he was, he kept campaigning. And in March, when he sat down with DOJ and FBI and they told him exactly how bad the files were, all of a sudden it was a Democratic hoax. The damage is going to be severe on both sides of the aisle. There's no question about it. Both sides are going to hurt. Most sides are going to bleed. Most of these Republicans that are staying silent right now, I don't know if they're staying silent because they're in the files or because their donors, the people that donate to their elections each year, are in the file. And so they don't want to have, their donors on the hook. Because I'll bet you a lot of these billionaires and moguls that are out there are probably like, you know what? If my name comes out, I'm not donating to your campaign anymore. And none of them want to do that because they all have campaigns. They all need to actually, keep getting reelected. If you didn't realize, congressmen and senators and all of them, they spend a good portion of their time fundraising, trying to build up their nest egg, their war chest for the next election. So, yeah, this happens. Obama 2028. Well, if we get Trump 2028, which wouldn't happen, Obama 2028 would be awesome. But again, that would mean violating the Constitution because the Constitution does not allow us to actually have that done. But when you take into account that this president has picked and choose exactly what or who he's going to listen to, and he's basically ignored the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 19th Amendment, it becomes a situation where you wonder, like, is he going to actually let the midterms happen? Because here's the deal. If your butt was on the line and you were going to be put in prison for your actions if you weren't president of the United States, would you allow the midterms to happen? I mean, he and Steve Bannon both says, if the midterms go the way that they look like they're going to go, we will all be impeached and thrown out of office. Trump said it himself. They'll probably impeach me if they take control of the House and the Senate. They know. They know exactly what's going to happen. So again, my original statement, which I said when I first started this out, and I want to thank everybody for your comments. I'm trying to scroll, but I apologize. The 19th Amendment is not applicable. Yes, it is. The 19th Amendment gives white women the right to vote. They're trying to select how voting is happening, which would affect the 19th. It also would affect the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which gave all women the right to vote. So it wasn't just because the 19th Amendment, when it was issued, was to allow white women the right to vote. Now, what's funny is the very year that the 19th Amendment was issued, which was 1920, in case you didn't know, they came out with what was called the Hysteria Law, which was a state code, not a federal law, and each state would adopt this law. And basically what it said was that any woman who spoke out, was morally corrupt, or emotionally promiscuous, or an adulteress, could be locked up in a sane asylum until the husband deems her safe. So people that spoke out, maybe voted, tried to exercise their votes, were deemed, hysteric, or, need to be locked up. So this happens. So the 19th Amendment does apply. But again, it still doesn't change the fact that there are so many people that are sitting here on stack of law books going, he can't stop the midterms. They're a state thing. Really? Well, didn't he just recently say, why don't we nationalize the elections? Why doesn't the federal government control the elections? Here's the other thing that no one wants to talk about. Do you know why he's going after the poll receipts? Why he's going after voter polls? It's not for the people that vote. It's for the people that don't vote. Because the people that don't vote are the people he wants to go after. Because if you've got a group of people that don't vote, then those are votes you can manipulate. Because you don't have to be worried about voter fraud. If you've got Steve, who's 55 years old and never voted in a day in his life, and you want to manipulate and use his vote in your favor, well, then Steve's a safe bet that he'll never vote again. Don't believe me? Think about it for a second. In the last election, it was 77 million against 75 million, right? 77 million people voted for Trump. 75 million voted for Harris. That left approximately 100 million age-appropriate citizens that could vote in the election that didn't vote. So those people, those votes, if they can determine who they are and whether or not they can, even let's just do it basic, we're going to campaign those people. We're going to make those people stand up and finally vote for us. Or they could manipulate the system somehow and say those people voted even though they really didn't vote. But to know that, they would have to know the people's voting history. And that's why they're going after the voter polls. Because the thing of it is this, that election is not going to happen the way that you think, because if he does, he'll be impeached, he'll be convicted, he'll be thrown out of office, he'll lose his immunity deal, and then on top of it all, he'll be prosecuted for the things that Georgia and Jack Smith never prosecuted him for. Georgia has a few voter registration, voter fraud things that they wanted to press charges against him, but didn't because he's in office. Jack Smith wanted to go after the January 6th insurrection, and the Mar-a-Lago files being improperly stored. These are all things that could actually still be swung on him because there's no statute of limitations on some of the things that he's going for, and he can't just sit in the Oval Office if he loses the midterm. Have a good day. Someone just said F Trump and all that. You have a good day too. Well, I'm sorry you're bored, Croman. I appreciate your coming in and leaving a comment, though. That's nice of you. For everybody else that likes the live, maybe just tap the screen and hit it. I always forget to ask for this. This is like my 6th live so far, so I do appreciate all the interactions. Trump forever. I mean, I don't know how you could possibly. Here's the other thing. If Trump's so star-spangled bannered amazing, why did he have to pay people to come to his birthday party or birthday celebration? And why did he have to pay people to go to his inauguration? His inauguration had fewer people in it in all history of inaugurations, but yet people came out in mass droves. Like 3 times as many people came out in negative 20-degree weather to protest him in Minnesota. Yeah, that's a reality. And while you're arguing back and forth about the fact that Trump is this and Trump is that, Trump is doing everything he possibly can to enrich his family, rich himself, and avoid prosecution. And he's doing it all on your tax dollars. Congratulations. Your tax dollars went to unalive Alex Padilla and Renee Good. Yeah, because those people were paid with our tax dollars. And then on top of it all, he's suing the IRS for $10 billion because he feels butthurt that they released his tax returns accidentally. Tax returns that technically should have been public record in the first place. He's on cocaine. I'm hyperactive. I'm ADHD. If I was on coke, whales could hear me talk. That would be the only ones. It'd just be like, no, sorry, not on coke. Yeah, the grifter has to grift. You're absolutely right. So $10 billion. He just hit us for $230 million because he didn't like the fact that Jack Smith was investigating him at the DOJ. So, new Constitution, July. So you want to get rid of the old Constitution and generate a brand new one. Would that be the one where you abolish the 19th Amendment because Christian nationalists want to take a woman's right away to vote? And I don't know why you're thinking that the 19th Amendment isn't on the block for being taken away because they've already taken Roe versus Wade away. These are the same people that had such a problem with women having the right to end a pregnancy because they wanted to defend a woman's right, a child. Every Republican voted and tried to dismantle Roe versus Wade. Why? Because they said that we have to protect the unborn children. But yet these Republicans have no problem with those children going to school and being shot up by the Second Amendment at schools. Because you're sitting here stopping a woman to have the right to end a pregnancy if she needs to because of whatever the case may be, because it's not my right to even know why she wants to do it. But you want to stop her from doing that. But then when she asks you for help to feed that child, clothe that child, or protect that child when it goes to school, you're nowhere to be heard from. Cry more. It's sad that you can't see the truth. It's sad that you want to just bicker at me, but that's cool. I understand. It's difficult to realize that you backed the wrong horse. I mean, you have a president for the very first time in United States history cut funding to children for food. He cut SNAP benefits just to try to get everybody to comply with his order because he didn't like the fact that Democrats were standing against him. And he didn't like the fact that he was looking bad in all of this. So yeah, I can see that. It's a rough road to sit there and be like, oh, wow, this guy's a horrible person. Yeah, he is a horrible person. The reality of it is that Epstein himself called Trump a horrible human being. He said he's the worst person he's ever met in his entire life. Epstein is a trafficker. He has done some depraved and horrible things to children, and yet he thought Epstein was horrible. And to put this another way, How bad is Elon Musk? Because Epstein apparently had to keep telling him, no, you can't come to the island. L- e- uh, Elon Musk was literally begging to go to the island consistently, and yet what? You know what I mean? Like that's comical too. Anyway, all right. Let me just read some of the stuff. How many Democrats, donors, and celebrities were there? You know what? Once they redact the files, we'll know. But there's a lot of there's a lot of speculation of Jay Z. I mean, who knows? I mean, to know who's in the files would mean unredacting the files. And why is the Department of Justice, who's supposed to be operating independent from Trump and from the executive branch, basically doing everything the executive branch wants? When he tweeted out on True Social, I want Jack Smith and Letitia James indicted, they were indicted. That's not that's not governing, that's interference. So my question to you, trucker, is that if you don't like it, then why don't you just leave? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just wondering, why be here? You know, Bill Clinton. Do I think Bill Clinton did anything with children? If he did, he's going. I'm sorry. I don't care. I wouldn't care if it was my brother. I wouldn't care if it doesn't matter. You mess with children, you're done. You're off the planet. You have no right to exist. Period. So if Bill Clinton did it, great. But you know what's funny? Do you know what's one thing that nobody realizes? Bill Clinton says, okay, bring it. But if we're going to do it, it has to be an open court. Everybody has to see. It has to be public testimony. So he's calling their bluff and saying, if we're going to go, let's go. And he's willing to stand up because he wants to clear his name and make sure that everyone understands. Did you know that Obama is in the Epstein files? 2009 times. Obama. Yes, Barack Obama. But not what you think. Obama is in there referenced because people were talking about him in the emails because Epstein had clippings and pictures of Obama in news clippings and this, that, and the other in articles. And so it was source material because obviously they were looking to see if they could sway him in some way. But there's no correlation. There's no conversation. There's no prick quo quo. There's no information given back and forth. There's no proof that Obama ever spoke with Epstein. But your immediate assumption was there was. Because the thing of it is that Obama was persecuted and ridiculed as president of the United States for 8 solid years. The reason why you're gravitating towards Trump so much is because you can't stand the fact that a black woman could be president. And after 49 years, why not have a woman? Why not have a black woman? Because so far, she's never tried to protect a PDF file. She's never tried to protect people that have hurt children. So oh, so my Luigi uh invalidates my opinion. Okay, cool. Not a problem. We're not going to talk about Luigi today, but we can get into that later on in life. Isn't it funny how all of the cases about Luigi are starting to fall apart? They can't go after him for murder. They can't go after him for being a terrorist. All of these charges, the DOJ. Let me ask you a question. Anybody that was a criminal that's on here, I'm not saying anybody is, I'm not like this, but like, do you think criminals are scared of the DOJ right now? Because apparently this DOJ can't get anybody convicted. They couldn't get Jack Smith. They couldn't get Comey. They couldn't get Letitia James. They couldn't get anybody to actually get prosecution or like that. So if I was Luigi, I'd be feeling pretty confident right now. Anyway, well, she is part black, and there's nothing wrong with that anyway. So That's because they're waiting for the right time. Okay. I hope they let Luigi out. I will tell you, I will do a deep dive about Luigi on another live. Not a problem. But I will tell you right now, the circumstantial evidence, the way that the evidence was handled, the things that are doing. If it gets dismissed, it will probably be for one or two reasons: either the police officer's incompetence or jury nullification. Because I can't see any jury going to convict him. Sorry, I just don't. Well, actually, the reason why I was talking about Harris is because originally the reason of all of this live to start was discuss the fact that we could have Harris in 2026 because of the way the Constitution is written. Now, I'll go over it really quick and I'll just jump through it. But Harris technically could be president of the United States in 2026, and this is how it would work. The House, once it's taken over by the Democrats and they appoint a new House Speaker, they could technically, by law, appoint Harris, right? Harris could become the House Speaker. Then they can move to phase two, which is impeachment of Trump and Vance. Once they've impeached the tangerine twat waffle and the couch humper, they then would make Harris the president because she would be third in line to the presidency. So by doing so, she could become president without an election, without any voting, the whole bit. Why would I pick Harris out of all of it? Because 75 million Americans voted for Harris. So in all likelihood, she would be the next in line. She would be the next person to actually stand there and take count. So as I said before, Harris could be president of the United States in 2026. But there's a lot of ifs there. If the Democrats grow a spine, if the Republicans grow a spine, if the Democrats and the Republicans finally put aside their fears of the Epstein files and allow them finally to be released, this could happen. Will it happen? It's a hard question. I don't see it happening. I don't see them having the stones to do it. But at some point, Trump's got to go. I mean, the fact of the matter is this: other countries are investigating the files now. The prime minister of the United Kingdom is supposedly going to be stepping down or possibly stepping down because he's in the files. The ambassador of England for the United States, he was already fired. The King of England stripped his brother of his royalties, lands, money, everything, and has him living in his shack on the side. The reality is that why would we impeach JD Vance? Because JD Vance is just as culpable in all of this. I mean, how do you not see JD Vance as being, complicit in all of this? Because as far as I'm concerned, at some point, silence becomes compliance, and compliance becomes co-conspirator. Because the thing of it is this: Blanche came out and says it's not a crime to party with Epstein. Yes, it is. It actually is a crime because the fact of the matter is that if you're at a party with Epstein and he has a way of always having underage girls there doing illegal things or being sodomized or SA'd in any kind of activity at all that's involving minor children, and if you don't step up and do something, then you're complicit. You become an accessory after the fact. You have a moral obligation and a civic duty to report a crime against a child. You can't go to a party, see something go, and then just turn your eye and go, well, I'm not involved in it, so I don't need to deal with it. You need to actually step up and say something because children need to be protected. So, oh, well, I was just partying there. I didn't take part. I didn't take a part of all of it. Well, guess what? You were there, you saw it, and you did nothing. That's just as bad because you allowed it to happen because we're supposed to protect children. We're supposed to protect the people that can't protect themselves. And you can laugh all you want. It doesn't change the fact that if you go to a Diddy party or you go to an Epstein party and, and you're involved in it in any way, shape, or form, even staying there watching it, but not stopping it from happening, then you're a part of it. Okay. And that's what's happening with the Republican Party because the Republicans know a lot of what's in these files. Republicans have seen the unredacted ones and they're still staying silent. Why? Because he's using leverage on them. Or they just are getting a cashback kickback. And so it's benefiting them to stay silent. Because how could anybody, I didn't think that Republicans, regardless of whatever, and Democrats too, I thought that there would be a level that they'd be like, dude, I don't care how much I like you, you're on your own. And we haven't seen that yet. The files that we've seen, the things that have been released, the story about Lake Michigan, the story about Sasha Riley, the stockpiles, and none of it's made people go, I'm not supporting Trump anymore. I apologize. There's a lot of messages, so I'm not getting everything. I apologize. You're a poor fool. I'm a lot poorer with Trump in office. I'll give you that. I love how am I talking to hear myself speak? Yes, absolutely. There's no question about it. I love speaking. I love talking about things, but that's the point. The point of my whole channel is to engage with people, have people have their voice, be like this. The people that are laughing at me or calling me an idiot or this, that, and the other, cool, great. You're exercising your First Amendment right. I'm exercising mine. The difference is I chose to be here. You're choosing to stay here because you obviously enjoy what you're hearing or you just like enjoying insulting people. One way or the other, you're not a really good role model, and that's okay. But you know what? You're accepted here because your opinion, even if it's not valid or valued, it's still respected because you have a First Amendment. Camilla, you're fired. Not buying. Love Trump. He is an ignorant clown. Yes, Trump is. You're absolutely. Well, he's got the spray tan to prove it. So supposing is another. Dude, stay all you want. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell you the same thing I tell all my haters. Thank you. Because without you, this isn't as much fun. Because I love talking to my haters. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm having a hard time reading the contents because they're so small. Could be because, it's small font. It's not as easy to read. Or because I'm actually wanting to talk to people and I don't really want to stop. And I feel Orange Man is rad. Bye-bye, loser. Bye. See you later. Tim Waltz. No, unfortunately, I'm not making this shit up. I spend hours doing research, and I know that even if I made it up, someone would come back and like try to whatever. See, the funny thing is that one good thing about TikTok was that I learned really quick that anything that I spoke about, I better have the ability to appeal because they used to, they're very strict on what you say. So I always have to have receipts. Bananas and rice. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm only on here for another 15 minutes. So if you want to insult me and you really ramp it up, make it good. You know what? Maybe you're right. And for all my fans here, just bang the heart. Let me see you guys. Tap the screen. Look, like tap the screen. I am not full of crap. No, no, no. I have a regular diet, but thank you anyway. The problem is this. The reason why MAGA goes to insults because they can't use knowledge. They can't use rational, logical speaking, and that's the problem. That's what the whole issue is that more people are willing to insult than read. More people are willing to belittle my beliefs than actually look and see whether or not they're true or not. I mean, the fact of the matter is this. If Trump's way was right, it'd be working. If the vision of ICE was working, we wouldn't have such civil unrest in this country. If what Trump was doing was uniting the people, then we wouldn't have what we have. We have record high unemployment, record high inflation. Cost of living is skyrocketing. House prices are out of control. Labor is down. We don't have enough people to do the jobs that Americans said that they were getting stolen by immigrants. The reality is this, and it's simple and it's sad. You cannot sit here and think that this administration is doing anything for the benefit of the American people because so far, everything he's done has either benefited himself, the people around him, or people in other countries. He sent $40 billion to Argentina, but he couldn't send a few billion to the farmers who are going tits up because of all the tariffs. Okay? He has alienated himself from so many business partners over the years, and now he's alienated us from our allies around the world. He is systematically alienating us from the people that we used to trust to have our backs. He has alienated Canada, who has been there to support us in wars for decades. They are our closest trading partner. We used to buy over $500 million of product every year, turn it and burn it, and make $300 or $400 million off of it every year, and that's lost. We used to do trade with China. Now China doesn't do trade with us anymore. The stock market keeps crashing because he keeps imposing tariffs, and then all of a sudden he lets the tariffs off, and everybody's making money on the shorts. Nobody has my back. Okay, well, that's why there's hearts flying up. So everyone that does have my heart, I really appreciate it. The MAGA supporters, you know what? You're special too. Not special like a snowflake, but short bus to school. Like someone puts a cork on your fork while you eat because they're afraid you're going to poke yourself in the eye. But that's okay. Don't worry about it. We all accept. Don't worry about it. You're just upset by the fact that I put together a clear sign that Epstein probably wasn't the boss, but just a second in command, and you didn't like that because you hate to think of the fact that perhaps maybe you're supporting somebody who actually has no problem with hurting children. So I can see why you're upset. What about Bitcoin? It doesn't matter. It exists. Everybody thought Bitcoin was just a drug dealing transactional blockchain. Now it's worth $100,000 a share. I don't think it's 100,000 right now. I think it's dropped a bit, but it's here, and it's being recognized by federal governments. Why didn't Biden release the files? Because of mutual destruction. I think Biden knew how bad the files were, but he also knew how damaging it would be to the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. He was protecting the Democrats, while now the Democrats want to hurt the Republicans, and the Democrats are so upset by what Trump is doing that they don't care if their Democratic Party gets hurt as well. They just want to get rid of Trump because the damage is greater what he's doing than what the files are going to do to the Democratic Party. Or perhaps maybe because most of the Democrats that were going to be hurt by the files are no longer in a situation where they can be hurt. Who knows? I know Biden wasn't mentioned in the Epstein files, and there's no record of Epstein and Biden ever working together in any way, shape, or form. So he didn't have anything to hide. I'm eating fresh fish and you're eating shit. Cool. Thank you. I don't know if you were offering me to I don't know if you were offering to cook me dinner, but no thank you. No thank you. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate you. Nice to see you again. What else is going on? Now, just so you know, I got another 12 minutes and then I'm done. But I do appreciate all the comments. I appreciate you guys tapping the screen, and I'm trying to read some of this. Thanks. I appreciate you, Twin. The reality of it is this. This administration has not been for the better of the people of this country. This administration has only been for the better of the billionaires and the top 1%. And the sad fact is this. ICE agents are committing felonies against people committing misdemeanors. Yet they're letting sex offenders who are actual felony charges walk free. Just think about that for a second. ICE agents are using lethal and felony level force to impose or enforce a law that's nothing more than a misdemeanor. And yet, people in Congress are protecting pedophiles who are committing felonies against children. How is that possible? And how can you justify that? I would love to hear that. You're so blind. So blind to the fact of all of the allegations. So let me ask you a question. I'm blind. How many people have to step forward and claim that Trump did something before you'll believe it? Because I've talked about this before. When Bill Cosby, America's dad, was accused of things, everybody was like, there's just no way. There's just no way. Bill Cosby, no way. And slowly, more and more and more people. Even Dave Chappelle said, shit, and he used the N-word. After 50, even I was convinced you were guilty. You know what I mean? Like, so exactly how many women have to come forward? How many men have to come forward and say that Trump did something before you'll finally acknowledge that it's probably true? Because the thing of it is this, if you don't want to believe the women, then why don't you believe the flight records? Why don't we see the wire transfers? Because there's another thing. Do you notice this guy was a financier? Epstein was a financier. He was a money guy. Why aren't we seeing the money transfers? Why aren't we seeing bank receipts? Why aren't we seeing banking documents? Why aren't we seeing his phone records? You know what I'm saying? Like let's really get into it. Travel patterns, because every single time someone flew to the island, they still had to register and log who traveled what. So look at that. Look at the wire transfers. He was banking. He was sending money to people. That would be a big thing. The biggest problem that I said for a long time that Trump had as a problem was that he would be directly tied to Epstein and Epstein would be tied to Russia. That would be the connection. Epstein would be the way that Russia got money to Trump and Trump got money to Russia, and that was that. That could be a possibility. It's a hypothesis. It's a think tank situation, but we do know that Epstein had a bank in Russia. That's confirmed. We do know that Epstein had ties to Russian oligarch. We know that Putin was at Epstein Island. So the connection from Russia doing the election fraud in 2016 that helped and benefited Trump, even though they hadn't proved that Trump directly profited from it or helped do it, could be the connection to how Trump was able to orchestrate or how Trump and Russia are connected. But yet they didn't allow that to happen. When the investigation was going on about 2016 election fraud, they were able to establish that Russia did in fact impede and affect the election in 2016, that it favored and helped Trump. They were working on establishing a connection between Trump and Russia that would show that Trump actually orchestrated it. And that, as soon as Trump took office in 2024, January 2025, stopped. They stopped the investigation, and everybody that was a part of that investigation was disbanded and relocated. That's not propaganda, that's fact. That's actual public record. The investigation into the 2016 elections fraud was stopped right after Trump took office. It's public record, you can research it. It is BS. The BS is pouring out from the administration, not from me, unfortunately. I wish that I was wrong. I wish that I was doing something else. Honestly, I love comedy. I love making jokes. I love making people laugh. But unfortunately, I'm hoping by being here, by talking about this, sharing ideas with people, that it'll spark another idea. And maybe somebody with more influence, more clout, more, I don't know, the ability to make change will see something and be like, oh shit, and it'll spark. Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be pooling our resources. We're supposed to be working together in unison to try to solve a problem. Because right now, you have somebody in the Oval Office that only deigns there, but doesn't have gratitude for being there. He is the president of the United States. He's supposed to be serving the people of this country, yet he is acting like we're all his servants. He is stealing our money. He is suing the IRS, and it's going to be his people that he appointed into office at the DOJ that's going to authorize that check. That's collusion. Simple as that. Someone just said, install Harris. You can install Harris. I don't know if you actually saw all of the rhetoric that I had, was fighting through with all your comments, but the fact of the matter is that if Harris is made the House Speaker, when they remove Trump and Vance, Harris would become the President of the United States, because in the line side of it, it's President, Vice President, House Speaker. So technically, if Trump and Vance were removed, Mike Johnson would be President of the United States. But when the House is overturned and Democrats take over the House and the Senate, they can then get rid of Mike Johnson, which then could put Harris in place. And when they put Harris in place, they can get rid of Trump and Vance. You don't have to use the FU, but I don't have to. I don't disagree that Harris may not be the right choice, but it's a better choice than what we got right now. Well, I appreciate you sticking around. I'm going to be doing another live tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So if you want to chime in then too, that would be awesome. If you don't, that's cool too. Either way, I'm happy that I've had the time to talk with you guys. I hope that you guys will check out my page. You'll check out some of the posts that I've done, maybe share, subscribe, repost to other people. One way or the other, I accept and agree and happy that everyone is that came on is Harris drunk. Again, I would, you know what? Winston Churchill was a drunk, a womanizer, and did bad in school, but he helped win the war. Hitler was a clean cut, perfect, altar boy, and he committed genocide. So, in hindsight, who do you want? Churchill or the mustache man? Okay? Because Biden was Sleepy Joe, but he wasn't diddling children. You know what I mean? Obama may be black, and that might have been a sticking point for you, but he wasn't hurting children. He wasn't sleeping with his interns. He wasn't denying justice to, thousands of immigrants that are being detained illegally. He wasn't committing a military coup against other countries. Joe Biden and Obama, they didn't have mass protests against them. They also didn't violate the Constitution. And the thing of it is that the Republican Party that was so hell-bent on impeaching Clinton because, he lied about getting, a mouth hug from an intern in the Oval Office are the same ones who were chomping at a bit and trying to get rid of Obama, but yet couldn't find any reason to impeach him. And then they tried to impeach Biden, but still, again, couldn't do it because they couldn't find enough evidence to make it happen. But yet they know, and they've got proof that Trump has been violating the courts, violating the Constitution, has been pocketing money, has taken gifts from, Qatar, has done all of these things, and yet Republicans are just ignoring it, pretending like it didn't happen. You're literally the quintessential Pacatatti driver that cut somebody off and now is driving going, I can't see you. I don't see you. You can't see any crime that Trump does, but everything that Biden might have done or Hunter Biden did or this, that, and the other, you're chomping at the bit, crying about it. That's not justice. That's you just being a bigot. Just like I did with Joe Biden. I didn't like Joe Biden either. If you think that I'm sticking up for Republicans because they're so much better, no, they're just, unfortunately, at this moment in time, they have the moral high ground. And you know what's funny? This is really going to piss you off, and I'm glad that's going to be one of my last things I'm going to say. But for Republicans, if you're so smart, why do you need the Democrats to pay your bills? Because in case you didn't realize, the blue states are profitable. They generate money and pay money into the federal government, while red states, wait for it, yes, that's right, they take those funds from the blue states to keep their operations operational, because red states, because you shun immigrants, because of all of the things that you're doing, you don't have a profitable enterprise. Your company, the Republicans, states aren't running at a profit. So every single year, they have to take money from the blue states, yet you're criticizing the blue states? That's comical. Until you can buy your own lunch, perhaps maybe not criticize the Democrats. Now, I'm not saying I'm a Democrat. I'm not saying I'm a Republican. I am telling you that when I look at both of these parties, I know that there's flaws in both. I know that both of them would cut each other's throat if it benefited them. And you know what? They didn't want to release the files when Biden was in office because they were worried about losing their donors and their constituents. And now that Trump is causing so much casualty, the only reason why the Trump files or the Epstein files are being released is, one, because Trump demanded them to be released, so he was going to have to honor his pledge to his people. But on top of it, the Democrats are happy it's getting released because it's going to basically blow up this administration. How long will it take? I don't know, but it's going to happen. I'm ignorant to the whole Democratic Party. Why? Because I'm holding them accountable too, because I'm not actually sitting here telling you that I'm going to just accept everything the Democrats do is honest, whatever. I've been to Washington. I've sat down with Macy. I've sat down with, different people there. I met Bernie Sanders. I've talked with people. I've seen it. And I'm telling you that they were looking to impeach Trump a while ago because of the damage that he's done. And the reality of it all is that you're defending Trump like as if he's your savior, but he's taken more money out of your pocket than anybody else. The fact of the matter is, you've got more in common with the immigrants that are locked in cages than you do the billionaires. Because guess what? How many billionaires came to Texas to help with the mass floodings? Zero. There was no billionaires there helping those people out. But you know who was? The undocumented immigrants. Even the ones that were being kicked out of the country came up to help because the floods happened. When the fires were happening in California, was it the billionaires that went there to help out? No, it was the Canadians and it was the Mexicans. But yet you're still hating on them. You're so focused on hating the immigrants and the undocumented immigrants of this country that you're ignoring the true minority that's doing the most damage. It's the billionaires. There are more records showing that undocumented immigrants pay taxes in this country than billionaires do. Because billionaires, based on Trump's own words, billionaires don't pay taxes because they use the loopholes in the tax system that the government put there. And the reason why the government won't change those loopholes is because too many people are profiting off of those loopholes, and they don't want to lose their constituents. They don't want to lose their donors, and they want to keep it as it is because it's a benefit, even if they don't want to admit it. I have lost my mind, probably. But while we're sitting here ranting, there's a woman that lost her life, and her child has to grow up without a mother. Alex Peretti, who was working at a VA hospital, was helping veterans regain their lives, is no longer able to help those people. And that was all done by this administration. This was all done by ICE agents who are inflicting more harm than the crime that they're trying to enforce. You can't deny the fact that even if being in this country is a misdemeanor, the ICE agents are inflicting felony charges on those people, and yet you're thinking it's justified. Trump is named 38,000 times in the Epstein files so far. There's video, there's pictures, there's things that we shouldn't be able to see, but it's there, and he was a part of it, and yet you're still sitting here defending him. It's difficult to imagine, but okay. All right, well, Alex chose to die by sticking up for a woman who just got pepper sprayed in the face. I will tell you this last thing. Harris could be president. Trump should never be president. The Democrats and the Republicans are complicit in all of this, and they're both co-conspirators because they're allowing this to happen. They have allowed the American people to suffer at the hands of Donald Trump. And for all of you that are supporting Trump, that's your right. I have to respect your ability and right to vote and your right to speak your mind, but I don't have to respect it. So I wish all of you that have liked this live, that have actually stayed and watched this, I appreciate you. I will be doing a live tomorrow at 12 o'clock, so you can come in and break my chops or talk, and it'll be a different subject, and I'll post it later tonight to tell you what it is. I wish everybody a great night. I hope that you will hold your loved ones close, that you guys will find peace and happiness in what's going on around you. And for everybody that's a supporter, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great night.